Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm
Willing to,
doing all right.
yeah, thanks for willing to do this.
Oh, my pleasure.
So I can start from the beginning, and I read up on your background, how you got into voiceover, but for anybody who doesn't know, if you want to say how you got into the industry and how you made the move to LA.
Do you want kind of like just my whole little backstory there, like
Yeah.
how I followed my dreams and came out to the land of law. Um, well, pretty much I I studied communications and theater, and I was always performing in plays and musicals and pretty much from the age of 6 I was always doing something like that. And I didn't realize and I didn't know that until like 2 years after graduating college that I could study voiceover, and I found that out through a friend of my mom's. So once that happened, this was in I started studying in about December of 2008.
Okay.
So I was working, soul crushing day jobs, working for a health insurance company, working at a temp agency. On the weekends, I was going into New York for classes. I was listening to webinars and learning about how to start a small business from scratch, how to market myself, working with various coaches. Ended up getting this wonderful mentor. His name is Roy Yokelson, and he works, his company is Antland Productions, and he's worked with all of the greats, in both animation and live action as an audio producer, engineer. So after a few years of pounding the pavement and finally getting my animation demo together, which I actually got done before my commercial demo, just because I had too many characters to sift through. I think I had like 54 and I had to narrow it down to 7. So I was like working on it forever. He sent my demo to a friend that he used to work with over at Disney. They sent it to somebody else at Disney who did casting, and this was in March 2013. And so that person said, hey, let's have her come out for a general audition. So back then, general auditions they don't do that very much anymore, but you basically you'd get a script and or a bunch of scripts rather, and they would just see what you could do, just basically show your range. And then the studio would create kind of a makeshift demo from that, in addition to what you already had to show your range. So when I found out I was going to be in LA for a week, I was like, well, let me jam pack this week as much as I can. So I scheduled a general audition in Nickelodeon. I went to Women in Animation meetings. Actually, that's where I found a friend who ended up helping me find my first home. So it was very serendipitous that whole week. And the Disney audition went really well. And then the the casting director said, well, what is your goal? And I said, well, I'd love to have a toe or even a pinky toe in the door so that I could move out here and, start really pursuing particularly animation.
Mm-hmm.
And she sent my demos over to Heather at Atlas Talent. And but this was on a Monday. By Wednesday, I got an email saying, we can start you on a trial basis, couple months, no promises, but it'll give you opportunities. So as soon as I got that email, I was like, oh crap, my whole life is changing. I was like, all right, give me a month. I said, give me a month. I told my family in Connecticut. They were incredibly supportive. I moved out there without any knowing anybody really, except for the people I made friends with that first week.
Right.
But I ended up living in a great house with a bunch of people in the entertainment industry. And I was Uber and Lyft driving every weekend and pet sitting and just kind of scraping by for the first few years. But persistence pays off, because now I'm working, I have over 6 agents, and I work pretty much, in all the genres that I was always dreaming of working with, in commercials, narration, animation, video games. I do dubbing. And it wasn't until maybe the 9th year of my career that I started booking the really big jobs, like things with Disney and
Yep.
Cartoon Network and Blizzard. So for those that are, wanting to pursue it and are get discouraged here and there, it's don't give up, because it's the people that hang on the longest that that things start happening. So like I said, I started in 2008. So so it's been 12 years now, and I'm so grateful to be doing what I love, and to now be able to, because of TikTok and things like that, to be able to interact with a whole new fan base because of
Right.
Genshin and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of my the quick version of my story in a nutshell.
Okay. So with how you got into anime, would that been Hunter x Hunter?
I believe The very first experience I had with working in anime was I did some walla for Seven Deadly Sins.
Okay.
And I think there were a couple other things, but I also used to fill in for some workshops with the casting director. When she wasn't available, I would help, check people in. And that's how I met one of the casting directors at Bang Zoom, where they do a lot of anime in Burbank. So, and then they heard like my boy voices and my, old ladies and things like that. And so they started thinking of things to work with me on. So yeah, it started with, I think, some Walla, Hunter x Hunter, and then later Sword Art Online and Kakaguri and Megalobox and things like that. So it's always really, but I think one of my absolute favorite roles in anime has got to be Lady Finatio from Sword Art Online, because not only getting to be a badass woman, but getting to be kind of any kind of gender bender role where I get to play with my lower register and kind of that's really fun for me. I like those kinds of roles where you're like, that's the fun of voicing teen boys also, is like, at least a few people were like, I didn't know that Xiao was voiced by a lady. And I was like, that's my goal. Yay. Because, sometimes you got to sound like a guy and sometimes not. But, this is the only time I can sound like a real guy, but I'd have to be a cab driver from the Bronx, Larry. That's my name. Driving these dames all over the place. So I know it's fun doing stuff like that. Yeah. But the anime world is a whole other beast. It's a whole other the fans are incredible. They're so devoted and geek out on things, and I love that.
Yeah. Were you like a fan of anime before getting into it? Like, were you aware of it?
I was a fan of anime. But I watched what did I, let's see, Inuyasha, Cowboy Bebop, the classics, and of course things like Princess Mononoke and things like that. But I wouldn't say that I was like a hardcore anime fan, but I appreciated it more working in it. I think I've just always been kind of a cartoon junkie.
Mm-hmm. Become involved for being the voice of doing all the like Hocus Pocus commercials and everything.
Oh yeah, for the voice match for Winifred.
Yeah.
So I had worked with a director over at Disney on a few different projects, and I got the audition. It was kind of a mass request for a bunch of folks in the voiceover community, and when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, something I can actually do, because when we get sound-alike auditions, like sound like a celebrity, sound like this or that, usually I'm like, no, I can't do it. But Hocus Pocus, I think I've watched like 60 times, and Bette Midler's range as Winifred was the one character that I was like, yes, I think I can do this. Like, I'm gonna rock this. I'm gonna, give it my all. So I just did the audition and added a bunch of improv, and I think I read for her and for Mary, but just like a totally different version of Mary. And then when I found out that I got it and it was going to be a series of like stop motion animation shorts with Disney, I was like, this is so cool. I wish that we were still doing them. It took like 2 years for Disney to approve like 6 videos. And the people were like, this should be a series. And I was like, I know. But there's so many people in the creative department, reviewing it, that there was a lot, stuff behind the scenes they were working on and that had to coordinate with their marketing. But it was an absolute blast, because I got to work with my sisters in the booth, and it was absolutely fabulous. So it gave me an excuse to watch Hocus Pocus even more. And then I got an audition from Freeform, who do the commercials for the Carvel ice cream spots, and that's how I ended up voicing Winifred for that. But originally it started with The Brew, which was supposed to be like The View, but with the Sanderson sisters. So that's kind of how I honed my Winifred. And it was some of the most ridiculously fun sessions I've ever had. We're just busting out laughing and like laugh crying because of the stuff that we were going through and things we were trying, and did a lot of improv and good times, good family friendly times. Disney way. Yeah.
And one of my signature questions I always like asking voice actors is what's the most emotionally intense or darkest headspace you've had to get into for a role so far?
I think the most challenging emotionally so far has been Sophia Falcone from Batman: The Long Halloween, just because she's such
Okay.
a vulnerable villain that has such an emotionally unavailable father. And she's walking this thin line of trying to assert her dominance in a field completely overrun by men, where all the control is in men, and at the same time she's trying to kind of appeal to her father's heart and tell him what she needs in order to be seen as an equal. And so that was definitely a tougher headspace. But I think the most intense I've had to go is I've had auditions where I literally had to wail, uncontrollably sob, like I had lost, the closest family member to me, because it was for this big audition for a movie, and they needed like hysterically pained sobbing. It was difficult, but it was also cathartic in the sense that after I was done, I felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders, because it was so therapeutic to like cry like that. But
Mhm.
it does take a lot out of a person to have to sob like that, to just, like you've lost the person closest to you. And then for the callback audition, I was like one of three people that were called back, and I was like really trying to like, okay, I got this. I'll just do my best. I'll just cry my best. They basically just wanted me to go for it for like a good 1 or 2 minutes and just show a range of different kinds of crying. And that was a lot. That was intense. But it also felt, like I said, there's the dark side of it, but then there's also the side of it where you feel like, it's good to be able to tap into those vulnerable sides of yourself, because then it's healing, because
Mhm.
we all carry trapped emotions in our bodies. And I personally don't cry very much, because because I know that if I cry, I'm going to need like a whole day to recover. I won't be able to work. I won't be able to do voiceovers. So like part of me is always like, no, I'm okay. I got this. But when I do cry, it's like, I just need like a whole day to, my whole body's just like, I die. I have nothing left. So
Yeah.
there is something very cleansing about doing stuff like that.
Has there been any for your anime roles? Has there been any place like that you've had to go pretty far?
I mean, the scene where Lady Fanatio is basically avenging her friend's death.
Yeah.
I forget her name off the top of my head. Where her friend has just been slain. It was a different level of it was crying, but it was the kind of crying where it's like it's very withdrawn almost. It's
Right.
um so that was I think that would be the most challenging for anime.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a pretty dark scene. I'm just like
Mhm.
losing my friend, thinking back to all the other people I've lost. And
And so,
yeah.
what is your personal story of how you got involved with Genshin and becoming Zhao?
So I had worked with Chris Faella, the director, on a couple other projects, mainly video games and things like that. And actually, what happened was asked to cast for this game, and he just called in specific people that he thought would be right for each role. I found out later that I was like the main person that he had in mind for Xiao. Like it wasn't like a big audition process. Like he already had me in mind. He just wanted me to read for it and to get the casting people on board. So that was really an honor to be thought of for that. When he gave me the description, he's like, I've got this kind of brooding, he sounds like a teenage boy, but he's actually thousands of years old, and he has all this karmic debt and pain behind him. And he played me the Japanese, but he said that he wanted a little bit more intense, as everybody can hear, a little bit more intense than the Japanese, with kind of clenched fists, and at times even a bit of not quite an eye roll, but a kind of disdain for mortal things and things like that. So I went in to the studio, I read the audition, and then like maybe 2 weeks later, I was visiting my family in Connecticut, and I got a call back on the audition, and I jumped in my studio over at my mom's, and they redirected me, on a couple lines, they sent that off in, and then they were like, you got Xiao. And I was like, cool. And I had no idea that Genshin was going to become this big thing. I'm doing a lot. This is, I've done like hundreds of video games, and you do them and you have a great time, but you have no idea what's going to happen with them. And like, I think this out of all the games I've been in, it's become like the biggest phenomenon, has had the biggest following of anything else I've done. So it was really exciting. And then it's like a whole other group of people to connect with, not just the castmates, but the whole Genshin community. And
Right.
Yeah, getting to connect with Genshin folks on TikTok like has really helped me through the pandemic too. Like, especially like, what was it? I didn't join TikTok until like maybe October or November of last year, and my friend Christy Kate, who plays Chi-Chi, she was like, "You've got to get on TikTok. All the Genshin fans are on TikTok." I was like, all right, fine. Like, I was really, it was like the emotional roller coaster of the pandemic. I was like, I got to do this, and I made like one post, just a clip of Xiao, and it's, I said, "Hi, I'm the voice of Xiao. Say hi, happy holidays," or something, and like a couple days later, it had like almost like 370,000 views, and I was like, okay, this is something. This is crazy. So yeah, and that's kind of how it started. And then I ended up, enjoying connecting with fans so much. I started creating like these little skits with the family members.
Yep.
back when I couldn't say any lines that were not in the game. So I had to kind of get creative with my skits. Now MiHoYo has loosened their restrictions. As long as it's not offensive, we can be more creative with what we say, which was really nice. But it was really, really, really fun, figure out what the other character is going to say, and then pick a line in the game that's going to match,
Right.
basically. So yeah, no, I love the Genshin community so much. They're like it's like a big family,
Mm-hmm. It'd be fun to see you and Griffin like collaborate on something like that.
Everybody says that we're like the craziest ones, me and Griffin. Like, if I do something silly, they're like, Griffin has got to her. I'm like, I'm my own person. I've always been this crazy. It's also nice to know that Xiao has become a comfort character for some people, people going through hard times and things like that. I think Xiao definitely has that. Again, it's one of those characters that has that badass side, but is also vulnerable, which I think is a lot of the kind of roles that I gravitate towards and that I get hired for, is like, we need this powerful character, but they've also got this other side of them. Yeah, and I think that's what makes a good, fully fleshed out character too, is to have the pain along with the joy. The yin and the yang.
The single highest rated question was if there was any difficulty getting his voice correct with how the Japanese and Chinese is in comparison.
We kind of worked on it when I did the initial audition. As as a woman, there's only a few ways that you can sound male, or teen boys. Like, I can either drop my pitch lower, or I can drop my pitch and add some rasp. And when I add the rasp, then it becomes like, it became more Xiao-ish, I guess. And it worked because I was kind of, I didn't want it to sound like a surfer dude. And I think the rasp helps with that. And everything he says is kind of biting. So I think that was also what worked. But it was kind of like, I started from that baseline of, this brooding angst with some rasp. And then we just kind of honed it in. And as the game has progressed, you see that there are softer sides to him, and he's not always being super aggro.
Yeah.
But I would not lie. I would be lying if I said that after doing a couple lines of Xiao, my throat does get a little sore, because it's all tightening the back of the throat. When you do any kind of character like that, including like, it's the same kind of stuff when you're doing like creatures and things like that. It's all in the back of the throat. So I just got my throat spray with me.
Mm-hmm.
Little entertainer's secret. Yeah. What else you want to know?
The second highest rated one was what hopes do you have for Zhao as the story continues? I
would love to learn even more about his story. I mean, we know the basics, but I would love to get an even more intimate understanding of him. I would love to know something about his actual family, because I've just created that in my mind. But know something else. just more about him in general, because he's so, a lot of what he says is very mysterious and aloof, and you kind of just like, I want to know you. So I think that's the main thing, just kind of know, or maybe find out, how he ended up in the position he is, like, how it all started, like the full backstory. Yeah.
And what's your favorite character interactions that he has with other characters?
Well, I'm only adventure rank 31, so there's only been a couple interactions I've seen. I've seen it with the what was it, the one where he's basically berating the guy who's pretending to be an adeptus. That was extremely funny because he's kind of being sassy. And when he talks about his friend and the tickerfish, the friend that he and eating the tickerfish, those are the ones that I remember. There's a lot of other ones. Like I never got to do the Lantern Rite Festival because my adventure rank wasn't high enough when it happened. So I would love to be able to do that again if it ever happened. And I know there's the teapot thing, but I still haven't gotten to that level. Like my friendship rank, even with Xiao, is not very good. There's still so much I'm learning about the game that I don't know yet. Like I'm just like, I'm a baby when it comes to this stuff. Like, oh my gosh. But I'm getting better.
Okay.
I'm still learning. Be gentle.
Is there another main character that you would have won a voice if you weren't Zhao?
Oh, I really like Bennett. I feel like I would have done I would have had fun being something like Bennett, or I'm trying to think. Or Lisa. I would have loved to be Lisa. Hello, cutie. Like a nice sassy, that's something like that. But because for anime voices, usually I'm pigeonholed as the mom. I usually get the mom roles. But I like I like Lisa's character because she has this flirtatiousness to everything she says, and it's a deeper register, which is nice. But yeah, I think those would be my top. Yeah.
There are just several people that said that they didn't have questions, but they switched to English. They switched the voice to English specifically for Zhao's voice.
Aw, that makes me so happy. It's really weird hearing myself in the game. Just like, whoa, what is this intense? It makes me happy. It's funny because I forget some of the lines that I'd recorded, and then there was some. They keep adding different lines in the game when you're fighting, and I think there was something towards the end where I'm running low on health, and I swear I say something like "Shut it, fool!" or like something like that. I was like, "What am I doing?" It was just really good times. Yeah, and I still can't figure out when he's doing the plunge if I'm saying "Kier" because it sounds like I'm saying "Kier."
Oh yeah.
When he plunges down. Yeah, I can't figure that out.
Do you have a single favorite line then?
Yes. Once the snow is thick enough, we can eat it.
Yeah.
And of course, if you awake to a knife at your throat. Well, if you awake to a knife at your throat, if monsters dig their claws into you, if death comes knocking at your door, call out my name, Adeptus Xiao. I will be here when you call. And the line about sandwiches is really funny. He's like, you expect me to place slices of meat and wrappings myself and then eat them together? Humans these days do not know what they are doing. It's just so... He's like, mortals.
Yeah.
I don't get you.
And what was your impression on his backstory and everything with that?
I mean, it's intense, he's that mysterious bad boy you want to learn more about, but he pushes you away every chance you get. It's very, he has a very sad story. It is a very sad story. He's got so much weight on his shoulders. And you can just tell that, just the way that he's designed and the way his eyes look off into the distance and the way that there's this he's a very old young person. It's like he's got so much that he's gone through, and yet if you just looked and saw him, you would just see this, this cute short guy that's kind of quiet and shy, you know. So I think that's one of the reasons why I like Xiao, is like there's the side of him that's kind of to himself, and then there's the badass fighting side, and then there's the side of him where you're like really learn why he's in so much pain, and he has to keep people, I think, at a distance because he's afraid that he's just going to make things worse because of all that he's gone through, you know.
Is there anything that you can personally relate to him about?
Man, I mean, I think the feeling like you need to, I mean, I think there's always been a point, there's always been points in my life, especially more when I was a teenager, where when something was really hard, I wanted to kind of not push people away, but I just kind of like wanted to close off a little bit, wanted to kind of put a wall around myself and protect myself in that little bubble. So in that sense, definitely. And just the sense of, you know, we all have memories that are painful, the things that we've gone through and that make us stronger, but that also, you know, I pull from those memories as an actor because I think that's what helps create authenticity. But I think that we all have this feeling in the back of our mind. We all have a bit of karmic debt, you know, in that way or another that we're working through. We're all trying to find ourselves. We're all trying to be better people and learn from our mistakes and not dwell on the past. And I think for Xiao, he can't get rid of it. He cannot leave his past. His past is at every second of the day, you know, the debt. So he's literally he has karmic binds. So I think he's a great lesson in learning how to in that it's important to live in the now and not focus on the mistakes we've made in the past. Otherwise, we'll drive ourselves crazy.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think forgiveness, forgiving ourselves and having compassion towards ourselves is very important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's kind of stuck with the directors is keeping that cold exterior.
Yeah.
You know, but that, like I said, and there's been moments like in the teapot scenes and when you get to a closer relationship with Xiao and little moments where you ask him questions and you see this other side of him, this barrier start to disappear for a few moments, and you can see this. But I've never seen the really warm, like I've never seen like a warm, fuzzy, you know, extroverted Xiao for sure. Yeah. That would be really weird to see, you know, if Xiao crossed his personality with Venti, you know, it'd be like the Twilight Zone. That actually would be pretty funny. That would actually be really, really, really funny if Venti and Xiao switched personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Next time I see Erica, I'm gonna ask her. We should do a video.
That would be great.
Next Genshin picnic or something. Yeah.
I love that video of that Mark is recording of you doing the bubbles and the tagline.
Yes! Oh my gosh, that was such a stupid thing. People liked it so much. I was so happy. That's just me. I'm constantly laughing at everything. So I'm just like trying to be serious and do this, and I can't even get the bubbles out. I can't even get the bubbles out of the wand. But I made it better. Mm-hmm. So I hope that more people will play with bubbles and the kazoo thanks to me. Everybody's got to embrace their inner child. You know, it's the only way we get through our days, right? Mm-hmm. We got to watch cartoons and play kazoo and blow bubbles and whatever, jump in puddles. Yeah.
And when you were streaming with Zach, was the like drunk Zhao thing, was that just something that you thought of? Like,
that's just something I thought of. That's literally just like I was just riffing. You know, it was a Friday. It'd been a long week. I was really just being silly, and then it just sort of just stuck. And what was really cool is I got to see a few people like animate my jokes after the fact. We were just, you know, just kind of got on this like little hyper rant, and I was just having so much fun with Zach because his energy is so welcoming, and like we're just you know, just joking around. And so it just, you know, it's the way that I am with my cousins, like with my family, like when we're really just completely relaxed and just being silly, you know. So I think that also played a big part in it. Like, you know, I had the right energy with me, so I was like, let's just do it. Let's just be goofballs, man. Any excuse to be a goofball. But I'm glad that people like drunk Xiao. It was funny because a friend of mine, um, their friend watches Amphibia, and they said, "Oh, my friend Laila plays Mrs. Croker," and she said, "Your friend is that old lady?" He thought I was an old lady, honey. It was very fun. Well, what do you know? One foot in the grave and still learning new things, you know. So I think that's the nice thing is, you know, so when we do actually see somebody that recognizes us, we appreciate it that much more because it's not like on camera where people are like, oh, you were in that thing, oh, dude, you know. So
And
that's kind of nice too, though.
yeah. Well, what is the case where you've had to alter your voice the most so far?
Ah. I mean, probably when I was this guy. I was one of my Shadowverse characters was a snowman, and he literally sounded like this. It's cold as cocytus, you know. Like it was like a dude voice, like an actual man voice. Other than that, I play a lot of little old ladies, but I've also done really cute, like smile guy, like really cute, like goofy voices like that. So it really depends, but I think the ones where like I just sound like sounded like a man, like a cab driver, that was probably the most most different for sure. For sure. For sure.
I don't know if you've been asked this before, but somebody asked if you can say Zhongli's Osmanthus wine line.
What's the line?
It's however you say that. Osmanthus wine tastes the same as I remember, but where are those who share the memories?
Osmanthus wine tastes just as good as I remember. But where are those who share the what memory? I forgot the last part.
Yeah.
Where are those who share the memories?
A few people did ask if you main Zhao or like who do you main?
Yes. Yes, I main Xiao. I not just because I voiced him, but because he's one of the fastest fighters, and I really appreciate that because some of the characters, they really lag in their like I love Diluc, but when he grabs the sword, it takes a long time before he hits and like things like that. And I love that Xiao's like boom 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 boom. It's the same thing with Shanling where she's like boom 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 with her movements, and I love how quick and nimble Xiao's fighting is. So that's another reason why I main him. And I just like running as him too. And I just like, you know, but my main four, and also because they're the highest ranked and tend to work best when I'm fighting, is Xiao, Diluc, Diona, and Barbara. Although sometimes I will switch out between Diona and Venti, and I'll also switch out between Barbara or Diona and Razor, because I really like Razor's attacks too. But those are kind of like the highest, you know, ranked characters I have, and they tend to work the best together with what I'm used to doing. And I have a lot of other characters, but I don't play them as much. It's hard to, because you have to figure out who you want to level up, because you've only got so many, you know, materials to do so. And there's still so much there's still so much I haven't figured out, like getting through a character's constellation, getting to like from C1 to C6. Like I still don't even understand how to do that. I don't, there's so many things I have not unlocked yet that I need to unlock. And I really need like somebody to just like come over multiple times and just play with me until I get to that point of like really knowing what I'm doing. What's hard is you get to a certain quest and you like want to have somebody just help you get through it, but you can't. You're just like, no, I can't get by this level. And you look at the tutorials and you're like, well, I'm just gonna die a lot. Like, but it is fun. It's so fun. Yeah, it's like the only game I've really been playing recently because it's just so addictive. Yeah.
Besides Zhao, some other people did bring up what are your thoughts on playing Thor and Fire Emblem.
Oh, I love playing Thor. I love, because again, she's a very badass character. And again, the cast was phenomenal, and it was awesome to be a part of the Fire Emblem team. But yeah, I am very grateful that I kind of have, when casting directors are looking for badass or powerful or aggro or like a Viking or, you know, like a, you know, whenever it says like badass woman or something like that, I'm like, all right, yeah, I get called in for those sorts of things a lot, which makes me really happy because it's like girl power, you know. Yeah, Thor is really cool. He's badass and beautiful and doesn't take no guff.
Right.
You don't take no guff.
the stream with Zach too that you were talking about a video game that was really difficult to record.
Oh, God of War 4 as
Yeah.
Gondel the Valkyrie. Yeah, because it was you know, she's got these incredibly intense fighting scenes, and then Sony wants like a ton of efforts and multiple takes of each effort, and and I think it was like a 4-hour session, and by the end of it, I mean, I just felt like I sounded like Marge Simpson, and I felt like I could have slept like the whole weekend. I was just beat, like, because it takes everything out of you, because every effort you do in a video game, you have to channel that in your body. You can't move your arm, you can't move your legs, but well, not really. You have to kind of stay on mic and do all these things, but it's all coming from the body. And when you're doing a lot of things that involve, you know, panting, getting electrocuted, getting set on fire, that you're gonna feel exhausted because you're going through stuff, you know, it's like an adrenaline rush each time. So then when that adrenaline subsides, you're just like, and then your voice, you know, I mean, I had to take a lot of breaks because it was a lot of yelling, a lot of fighting, a lot of intense. You know, there's a scene where my wings at the end, you know, where my wings get ripped off, and I have to let out blood curdling screams because my wings are literally being ripped off my back. And, you know, that's not something you can fake. You have to go for it. And, you know, they were very good about giving me lots and lots of breaks. But still, you know, those are the more challenging sessions. When I've done sessions like in The Last of Us 2, I played stalkers and runners. I was on a lav mic, and they had to turn off the air completely. So I've got this like cooling cloths on me and other things to try to stay cool, and taking breaks in between. And I'm watching the animation of the character that I'm following, all their movements. And they're like, all right, in this scene, you have to eat human flesh, but part of you is satiated by this, and the other part of you, the human part of you, is in anguish because you don't want to eat human flesh. And go. And like, I'm following all the movements on the screen, and like, but literally biting onto my arm and making these like inhuman sounds and growls. And they're like, okay, great, we just need 2 more. And every scene is like, you know, you need at least 2 to 3 of each scene. And you're following the action. He jumps down, he jumps over here, you get attacked, you get stabbed with a knife, you fall back. So yeah, those are intense, not just vocally, but physically. Afterwards, you're just like, all right. That's why if I have a session like that, it's got to be on a Friday. And if it's a high traffic day, you know, I try to start earlier in the day so I can get, you know, not be stuck in traffic and start getting groggy, because those will put you to sleep. You know, you will feel like you've done a marathon. But then there's also the satisfaction of seeing the finished work and being like, oh my gosh, that was really cool. You know, I did that. I did it.
And do you think that you have the most affinity with Zhao with characters you've played now, or?
He's definitely got a special spot in my heart. I think Xiao, Mrs. Croker on Disney's Amphibia, and Sophia Falcone and Batman: The Long Halloween are some of my absolute top roles. But I also loved playing Yana the Yeti in Nickelodeon's Rainbow Butterfly Unicorn Kitty, because she was basically just like a kid version of me, and she said ridiculous. She was basically like a female Patrick Star, because she would say things like, "Does anyone see my golf ball? It's round. It looks like a golf ball." Like, she was just always saying ridiculous, cute things, and she had fish sticks under her arms, and she was just like the funniest character. Like, I love playing goofy, lovable characters too. So she also, but I think those would be like my top 4. I have so many that I love, but those are, I think, in the top 4.
Okay.
The top 4. That's what they get. Yeah.
And it looks like you have a lot of stuff up that you're in that's coming up that you can talk about.
What can I talk about? Let's see, what's
outside of Aquaman.
Yeah, Aquaman just came out. Aquaman, King of Atlantis. I'm a wise talking crab that gives directions to Aquaman in episode 2. Wild Card, which is a TV series that's in production. I play Prima, which I'm kind of a statue at a campus, and I might be a hallucination. But all the other projects that I'm working on, I can't. There's one other thing that just came out. I'm waiting to find out what the phone number is, but there's over this weekend, Saturday was Netflix's Stranger Things. It was like Stranger Things Day. and I partnered, General Mills partnered with Stranger Things to create this 800 number that's like a choose your own adventure based on like an 80s call center type theme.
Yeah.
So I'm the voice of the choose your own adventure. Like on some select boxes of General Mills cereal, you'll have this phone number you can call in, and it'll be like, thank you for calling General Mills. For, you know, if you're calling about something you saw in a box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, press 1. But then it's going to ask you questions about in relation, it's going to be like a mystery, like a scary horror mystery that's theme based on Stranger Things, and depending on what you decide in the game, it'll either get scarier or you'll get through. And so that's going to be going on for the next month. And so if anybody's looks on the box of their, if you get anyone gets a box of General Mills cereal that has that quest, call that number on the back and have fun in, you know, fun figuring out if you're going to live through it. Choose wisely. So that was really cool. And then, yeah, then I just have my my autograph signing this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yep.
I can show some prints I got behind me. So yeah, Friday and Saturday at 2:00 Pacific Standard Time, and Sunday at 1:00 Pacific Standard Time on my TikTok, which is at Laila Berzins Voice, or my YouTube, Laila Berzins Voiceovers. I'll be doing autographs, and the link is in my TikTok bio and in the descriptions on YouTube, but it's basically just streamily.com/Laila Berzins. And I have new Chef Xiao prints, which I created. I have a wonderful, well, I didn't create, I thought of the idea and people seem to like it. This incredible artist who goes by @SoundlessWind on Twitter. Her name's Holly. She made these, got small and large versions of that. And then I still have she also made these Lantern Right Xiao pictures. This is a small version of Lantern Right, and the big one. And then Act Knock Straw on Twitter is another artist made a more anime version of Xiao. This is the small one. This is the large one. And then also on my Streamly page, I have Demeter and Persephone prints from Hades game, which will be up there. Yeah, and then the whole Genshin cast is doing a signing. Some people have different dates. Some are going to be like on the 15th. Some are starting earlier. But that link is streamily.com/Genshin Impact. So if people want to see all of the prints for the signing, it's going to be that one. And if they want to see prints just for what I'm doing, it's streamily.com/Laila Berzins. So that way we can all support each other. And once I'm done with my streams, I can go check out what somebody else is doing on theirs. And yeah, I love it when the Genshin family gets together and does stuff like that. Streamily was like, you guys want to do one more signing before the holidays? I was like, yeah. One more.
Is there anything that you want to say to the Zhao Sub?
To the Xiao subreddit group, just that you guys are all amazing. Thank you for playing Genshin Impact. Thank you for supporting all of the actors in this game. Thank you to everybody who wrote incredibly kind things in the comments. You know, whatever version of Xiao you like, whether it be Japanese, Chinese, English, I am grateful that you enjoy him as a character. And it's just such a delight to be able to interact with everybody. And I appreciate the kindness and support, because you guys really feels like being part of like this little like family on social media, which is really special, you know. It's a very supportive community, and I cherish that. Yeah, I love you guys. I promised myself I wouldn't cry. I'm getting a little verklempt. Talk amongst yourselves.
The way that the final question I do for every interview is asking, what do you want your legacy to be?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I want to be known primarily as a versatile character voice actor. I want to be known, like when somebody thinks of like somebody who was had a great range and that brought joy in cartoons to other people. I want to be that one of those people. I want to be like Kari Walgren and Tara Strong. I want to be one of the big names, big fixtures. And really, more than anything, I just want to make people laugh. I want to make people smile. You know, I love doing what I do in various genres, but if I can work on a character that either somebody resonates with and helps them through tough times, or that just makes them laugh out loud, then that's the best part of my job, really. There's nothing better.
All right.
So, yeah.
Well, thanks. I'm glad that we got to do this.
Me too. This was so much fun.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the most funniest interviews I've had so far.
I try to keep it zany. Thank you so much for this. This was a blast.
Yeah.
Nice way to start the week.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Bye.
All right. Well, you have a great rest of the week.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
Bye.